Hello everyone, welcome back to Judgment, Lost Judgment.
What is this point you speak of?
Let's all go over the diagram so that everything will be clear. Here's what I want you to see. What the? It's very brief, but there's a moment where Ihara and Mamiya-san can't be seen by the security cameras. The dotted lines on the arrow represent the camera's blind spot.
It does appear so. So you're saying this is where the groper, the fake Ihara, traded places with the real one?
Can't say it's impossible, right?
Right. Except if that actually happened, Mamiya-san would have been right behind them at the time. Could the two really swap places without her noticing?
In a crowd like that, I think it's feasible.
If that really was Ihara's plan, then I'd say he was being careless.
Careless? How?
Well, on the day of the incident, the station was packed for morning rush hour. That means there was no solid guarantee the assailant could make the switch. He could have been nailed by any random passerby before reaching the blind spot.
Good point. Not only that, if Mamiya-san had called for help while the train was still moving, then the first Ihara would have been caught before even reaching the platform.
Oh, I mean, yeah! Call it.
Think about it, Yagami-san. Why would Ihara's accomplices meticulously plan out every last detail of this alibi, only to leave such a crucial component to chance, as Hoshino-kun pointed out?
Oh, just doing my job.
True. Good work, Hoshino-kun. In fact, I think that may back up my own take on it.
Yeah?
What if everything, including the appearance of leaving the plan to chance, was part of the plan?
Can you expound on that?
I'm saying I agree that such an airtight alibi wouldn't have allowed for contingencies. And that takes the question to another level. Just how far did they line up the pieces in advance to make the swap work?
Are you saying there's more to it than we discussed? What did we miss?
I know this won't go over well, but what if Mamiya was colluding with Ihara all along?
Huh?
Bear with me. Let's say Mamiya was in on this, and knew about the imposter in advance. If that's the case, the swap could happen right in front of her, and no one but the three of them would know.
You're saying the victim of a groping conspired with her assailant beforehand? That's ridiculous!
Let me just say, I'm only trying to work out how a swap like that would be guaranteed to work. Now, if Ihara and his stand-in both know that Mamiya will pretend not to have seen them, they can trade places in the blind spot with impunity. Conversely, if Mamiya wasn't in on the plan, the idea of a swap would never work. We can say with certainty that she would have seen the swap, so she could have even called attention to the real Ihara the moment he stepped in. That way, the people around her would be focused on chasing the correct assailant. The rest is as we know it. They caught Ihara and detained him until the police showed up.
Hold that thought. If your theory is accurate, what about Ihara's trace evidence? Remember that fibers of the victim's underwear were detected on his hand.
Well, that can also be explained by Mamiya being in on the plan. For example, while the stand-in was showing himself at the security cameras, Mamiya could have easily provided Ihara access to a pair of underwear at the same time. Maybe the stand-in loitered around for so long because he was letting everyone else get themselves in place.
It's not impossible.
We can work out the other details later, but the point is, Ihara's murder alibi is shot if Mamiya was involved. In summary, it's possible that Ihara disgraced himself to secure an unshakable alibi for Mikushiba's murder.
I'll concede that it's an avenue worth pursuing.
And when it comes to the prosecution, They can't just admit they got the first case so wrong. Plus, they can't question Hara about Mikoshiba's murder. In fact, their only option is to claim the tape was faked.
So he managed to make a farce out of the system after all.
Well, his court case for his son's bullying did get more or less thrown out, didn't it? The school, the investigative committee, and the court all agreed there wasn't enough evidence to convict anyone. No surprise for me that the guy held a grudge against the system for so long.
Hold on. Before we all decide on this,
What's up?
the obvious question to me is why would Mamiya be party to such a crime? She appears more than financially stable, and she's even raising a child. So why would she do something so enormously risky as helping establish a murder alibi?
Yeah, I haven't gotten that far yet. But maybe she was promised something that far exceeds the risks. Or maybe Hara has some kind of dirt on her even?
Enough to make her help with a murder? What sort of secret would be big enough to force someone into that corner?
What info do we have on Mamiya anyway? Maybe we can spot a connection to Hara from the profile.
I'll pull her information. Just a second.
Oh, I just thought of something else those two would have guaranteed by working together.
What's that?
If Ahara wanted to use this crime as a murder alibi, he needed it to blow up into the public eye. But if he had chosen a victim who stayed silent, then nothing would have come of it. A solid plan would need to eliminate that variable, which means Mamiya being an accomplice was crucial to Ahara's success.
That's true.
Looks like Ahara pulled one over on the prosecution. Had his accomplices right where he wanted them, even his victim. Once we learn how he's connected to Mamiya, we can root out the rest of his team.
Let's see. According to her file, her maiden name is Yui Suzuki. 30 years old, so that's consistent. Originally from Ota, Tokyo. Attended a private high school called Kurakawa Academy. Later graduated from Toto University.
Huh.
Met her husband on the job, apparently. Her husband, Taichi Mamiya, is an industrial designer at Techno Zeta Inc. 6 years ago, she gave birth to their only son, Sotaku, who's now in first grade.
Hold on. You said she went to Kurakawa Academy? I heard that name in Ijincho. If I recall correctly... When I went to scope out the murder scene, there were these three guys watching the detectives and me. They told us they were just checking things out. They mentioned they're Kurakawa grads too.
You have any ID on you?
Will my license work?
Kake-san, age 30.
Akaike-san, age 30. Mamiya's 30 as well.
What's that got to do with anything? Aren't we trying to find a connection between Mamiya and Ahara?
I found the Kurakawa Academy website. Looks like they're pretty prestigious. It's in Tokyo, specifically in Ota. Pretty close to where Mamiya lived. Oh,
What?
the girls there get such cute uniforms.
You
Okay.
little... You want to start all over from the bar exam?
Wait, I've seen that uniform before too, actually.
Where?
On an old picture of a teacher at Serio High. Sawa-sensei. Ahara's son confided in her. Is she actually a Kurakawa grad too? I don't know Sawa-sensei's exact age, but she could well be 30. Maybe all of them were even classmates.
Could this mean they're actually linked? The victim and her up-to-now unrelated assailant?
It's a tenuous link at best. Could fall apart any time. But no true detective alive would pass it up.
A previously unseen link is established between the groper and the victim. Charting out their relationship is akin to tracing a spider's web. But with each false thread ruled out, only the improbable truth remains. Ehara orchestrated the groping as a diversion. And by tarnishing his name, he secures both an alibi and his ultimate revenge.
Interesting.
Hiro Mikoshiba's murder was sparked by the bullying of Toshiro Ehara, who committed suicide 4 years ago. The graphic video that hit the net showed the world how Toshiro's father, Akihiro Ehara, had brutally avenged his son. We also know the father had accomplices. On October 7th at 6:30 a.m., they forced Mikoshiba into a vehicle, took him to an abandoned building, and gravely injured him. Then, around 7:30 a.m., the time frame when Ehara killed Mikoshiba, the other conspirators were probably nearby, even though they weren't on camera.
At the same time, 30 kilometers away at Ikebukuro Station, a man who looks like Ehara is caught on camera. We'll call that guy the stand-in. The stand-in made sure he was in front of the cameras for more than an hour before boarding the 9:06 a.m. train, the same one Yui Mamio was on. After committing sexual battery on that train, he meets the real Ehara in the camera's blind spot, and they change places. That's how he established a false alibi for Mikoshiba's murder. And to achieve this, the victim, Yui Mamia, had to have been in on it from the start.
Sure are a lot of people getting their hands dirty for Ehara. Mamiya, Ehara standing on the train, the guys who kidnapped Mikoshiba. How did some troubled cop manage to recruit so many allies?
Well, one person that comes to mind who might be the key to all this is Yoko Sawa. She's a teacher at Seiryo High. She was the only adult Toshiro-kun ever told about the bullying, and she supervised Mikoshiba as a teacher before he disappeared. On top of that, she's a Kurokawa Academy graduate, same as Mamiya. Those trespassers at the murder scene were also from Kurokawa. Since they're all about the same age, it's possible they were all classmates.
So you're saying these classmates are also Ehara's murder accomplices?
If we consider Yoko Sawa the central link, that's very possible. We do know that as a teacher, she felt deep remorse for Toshiro-kun's suicide. Maybe she recruited her old classmates to help Ehara take his revenge.
Yeah, that's not to rule that out. Though I'm hoping that's not the case.
Why's that?
It's just, she's a really good teacher. She's passionate, responsible. She's always putting the students first. I know she regrets the past, and a student died on her watch. And now another of her students, Mikoshiba, is found murdered. So if it turns out she's involved in that, I doubt I'll be able to trust my own judge of character ever again.
Yagami.
I'm going back to Ejincho tomorrow. The plan is to bring up Mamiya's name to Sawa-sensei and see how she reacts. Until then, let's not jump to conclusions about her involvement.
All right.
Can I chime in real quick? I was looking into Kurokawa Academy and I stumbled across something that may be relevant.
What's that?
Well, it happened 13 years ago, but there was an attempted suicide. A third year jumped off the school's roof after being thoroughly humiliated.
Actually, Sawa-sensei mentioned that. She said it was a boy in her class.
Right, that's gotta be the same case then. The student's name was Mitsuru Kusamoto. He's 30 now, but still in a coma.
Huh, and all that info's on the net?
It wouldn't be normally, but his mother happens to be Vice Minister of the Ministry of Health. Ever heard the name Reiko Kusamoto?
Not once.
I have. It was on the news. They were talking about her and her son.
Well, do you remember the uproar in the health ministry when Vice Minister Ichinose got arrested? Apparently, his successor couldn't contain the resulting chaos, which is when Kusamoto-san got tapped to lead. They couldn't afford another criminal scandal, so her promotion was out of the blue. She was a safe choice, a veteran with tenure and experience. Not to mention, her son's tragedy made people see her as a more sympathetic figure. Very popular. She's kind of a new generation heroine, so to speak.
Huh.
Is any of that relevant to the case at hand, though?
Who knows? But Reiko Kusamoto and Ahara both have children who were bullying victims. I don't think that's a connection we can afford to overlook, if you ask me.
Okay, so Kusamoto's son. What exactly happened to him?
Let's see. He was bullied by a fellow third year at his school, Shinya Kawai. The records say he harassed Mitsuru-kun every day, in and out of school. Well, one time he even stuffed dirty rags in his mouth.
That's so cruel.
Yeah, and the
Jesus.
teacher was a real piece of work. Apparently he knew, but he just smirked and said, "Don't overdo it."
Oh, I remember now. The media pounced on that one hard.
If they were classmates, then both Sawa-sensei and Mamiya would know about this.
And maybe because they couldn't save Mitsuru-kun, their guilt left them open to Ahara's persuasion.
But to prove that, we'll have to hear from them directly. I'll talk to Sawa-sensei first thing tomorrow.
That'd be helpful. In the meantime, I'll be working on Ahara's appeal. It's clear they missed something important in the trial, since Ahara is apparently innocent of sexual battery. Being that he was out committing murder at the time.
What started as a simple harassment case sure has blown up big.
Dude.
I admit, I used to see Ahara as nothing more than a shameless cop who got what he deserved. But I guess that's what he wanted us to believe, along with the prosecution and the public at large.
Holy shit. You wanna dance? Oh, I don't want the DLC. No! Let's dance!
What a waste.
If a game lets me smoking, and if a video game lets my character smoke, he smokes. Now I was chain smoking in Red Dead too. Look up in the sky!
Starving. I'm starting to feel it. Pretty tasty. Thanks. What a waste.
You want piece of you want to shot the champ, huh? You ain't getting dick.
Let's do it.
Damn.
Let me redo that.
That's pretty cool.
Starving. Pretty tasty. Thanks.
ありがとうございました。
Holy hell, I did it!
Irashaimase. ありがとうございました。いらっしゃいませ。ありがとうございました。
Jump to my boarding. Holy hell!
What a waste.
I'm gonna try again. I missed the pinball machine a bit.
Wait a minute. What?
Yo, you took your sweet time, but I got the gist of it. You're going to Jinsho, right? To meet with Sawa-sensei?
Kaito-san, you do realize that only I can meet her. You can't get into the school.
I know, but if you end up taking it off campus, can you at least call me this time?
Don't you understand the situation? Sawa-sensei might be tied to murder.
You sure you understand it? Come on, she would never do that.
Not a fact?
So happens I'm a great judge of character. Especially
When it came to women.
Ah, sometimes I forget who I'm talking to.
Are you coming or not? We did it!
First stop, it's gotta be Chinatown. Can't face Sukumo on an empty stomach.
Never a dull day for you, huh, Kaito-san?
It's a selection, man. I've already worked out the math. I figure if I hit 4 or 5 places a day...
What? What's up?
Check that out. It's Akutsu.
Kamurocho thugs are looking pretty out of place here.
Yo! Akutsu! What are you fools doing in town? Hey! Don't ignore me! It's Kaito! Fancy seeing you here!
You son of a bitch, wake up!
I'm kind of busy here, man. Catch you later.
What an asshole. Jincho's a long way from home. And he's traveling with a small army.
Would he have come all this way because of us?
Nah, we just caught him totally off guard. He's not out here for us. Gotta be something else.
But something's not right if they're just cruising around. It's gotta be an RK operation. He brought too many guys for it to be something more personal.
Yeah. Kamurocho streets can be tough. Maybe they gave up. Well, whatever they came out here to do, we ought to keep our noses the hell out of their business. But you better hustle. You're gonna be late for class. I'll catch you after school.
Like we'll end here. I'm gonna go for a smoke. Back soon.